So let's see. Am I on? Something is going on. Yeah, okay. Here we go. Hello. Thanks for joining the stream. Sorry it's off to a bit of a late start, but I think I have everything set up. Let's start with some just chill admin, I guess. Can everyone hear me okay? Can you see what's on my desk here? And can you hear the background chill beats? Because I can't. Good. Yep, on all counts, I think, hopefully. It's a bit of a different setup today. Nice. So let me just check that my scenes are working. This should be my punch-in camera. Well, hi Joe, nice to meet you being everybody. This should be my punch-in view, so that should hopefully be working all right. Beatless. Beatless. Oh, after all of that, can I don't hear the beats, but I actually like that. Okay. Well, you know, one day I'm going to work out how to play some chill beats on my chill stream, but that today is not that day, apparently. But that's okay. That's okay. I think as long as I can confirm that isn't working, then I know what's not. Jaha, det är en svensk bok. Yes, it is Swedish. This is the Swedish edition because I am in Sweden. Okay, now you can hear the beats. Good, good. I actually got it working for you. So hopefully this should be playing free to stream beats, and we should be free from getting a copyright strike as long as Spotify doesn't decide to leave this playlist. I'm going to try to, get things underway. It's nice to see everyone in the chat. It's been a while since I've done a stream. Been a bit, but that's not chill to talk about being sick. Yeah, it's been a bit of a month. So I decided we have a video coming out hopefully in a couple weeks. That's a work in progress that is featuring one of the fonts that is in this catalog. Thanks, Tom. I am soon hopefully going to hit that 100K, get that silver plaque, which will be nice to have the silver plaque. It's, yeah, it will be somewhat of a moment, which will be nice. It's been a year, no, 2.5 years on YouTube, so nice to get to that silver plaque soon. But hopefully that next video coming out should bring us over the 100K mark. Excuse my desk for being in the state that it's in. It's a bit rough. Oh no, there's a Danish devil amongst us, but we won't bring that up. We won't ask them to explain their messed up counting system to us. That's not what the stream is about. So there's going to be one of the fonts in this catalog is going to be the feature of the next video that's coming to the channel. Hi, Shiniest, thank you very much. I'm glad that you found the channel through the Tokyo pictograms video. That was a fun one. That was kind of the start of the channel blowing up. So it's it's an interesting. It's been interesting, different waves. The last video I made kind of had a much bigger reaction than I thought it would. Yeah, today we are going to get into some fonts. I'm going to move. Hopefully I can move this out of the way without it losing camera. It's simple. You used to count in groups of 20. Yeah. Let's not get into that. You can go to Reddit for that. So, I'm not sure that everyone on this stream will know what Letraset was. So we can start with that. It will probably become self-evident once we get in here. So excuse the text is in Swedish. I am a secret Swede. Don't tell anyone. But the fonts the alphabets are in English, so you know we'll get through it, I think. So that was the first alphabet of the book. We got times Roman, times bold. I'm just going to check my punch-in works. Yes, there we go. I wish it was in 4K, but you know, that's all right. Allergic to Swedish, you can't be. There's no such thing. Just immunize yourself by going to the IKEA canteen and ordering yourself a healthy dose of meatballs. But yes, oh, this is getting good. This is the good bit. This is what I enjoy about these catalogs, is the vintage, the vintage art direction on some of these. Wow. So, oh, this is fascinating. So I think I have to explain a little bit about what Letraset was. We might have to return back to this spread because it's there's a lot to take in there. But I think we might have to go to something a bit more didactic in here. We might have to skip some ways in to actually get to explaining what Letraset was. So I'll try my best to explain just briefly, but I think there is some instructions, I think maybe at the back. Yes, a little bit. There's a lot. It's quite a hefty catalog, actually. Yes. So, this, again, text in Swedish, but hopefully it will... you've been to Sweden multiple times. Well, I'm sorry. I can only apologize. They are extremely addictive, those chocolates. Can I bring in... Yes, I can do that. Good. I'm going to hide... I'm going to do some browser management that you won't see, but hopefully this will just make things a little bit more simple for me. Oh. Elizabeth, your family sounds like mine. We confuse a lot of people. So Letraset, what we're looking at in the street. So Letraset was a way of, I think that's Letrasign. Here we go. Here's Letraset. Was a way of setting type before computers. It was mostly used in the 50s through to the 1980s. I believe that Letraset actually started with the first to invent dry transfer lettering, which is kind of the generic. You know, Letraset's like the Kleenex to tissue as a of dry transfer lettering. And what it was, these sheets that you could get of letters, you would rub the top side with a pen or a stylus or one of these special tools. Let's do the punch in. And you would kind of, through the pressure and heat of rubbing down on it, would transfer the lettering onto the page. Yeah, I think there were quite a few other companies that eventually produced similar products, and they were, I can't remember them. They weren't as prevalent in all markets. I know America, it was sounded like Meccano. It wasn't. It was Metra something. Maybe someone in chat can name the other producers of dry transfer lettering. But what was cool about this technology was it was much more flexible compared to what they had before with metal type, obviously, hot metal type, and then they had cold type or photo typesetting, which was a bunch of actually different technologies. Excuse me. And there's a really good talk by Frank, I'm spacing on his name, but I believe he runs the Museum of Print, maybe? And he kind of goes through the 4 phases of photo typesetting. And it was basically taking photographs of just sheets of cardboard with all of the images and text pasted up on it to make printing plates. And to actually get the text you would paste down, you would set that using various really expensive machines. And Letraset was a lot cheaper. And they were mostly used for display text, because you wouldn't want to sit and rub one letter at a time off for an entire article. That would be grandparents used to have a lot of them. Yeah, yeah, and they didn't only offer just letters. You'll see, we'll get into it, but they had lots of other offerings, and it was really it was invented in 1949, I believe, and it kind of rose to prominence around the 70s, 60s, 70s, and then the 80s. Computers came with desktop publishing and started to disrupt everything. So we are going to get into some of this TV sans. I am not enough of a Discord user to comment on TV sans, but could be interesting. Normally these kind of controversies about I think I could probably zoom in a little bit on this one too, are a bit of a nothing burger. Oh, okay, that's why that's not doing anything, because I'm in there. Hopefully this should, yeah, that'll be a bit better. Okay, so, yeah, I wanted to unpack this page because it is amazing. So there's the Letraset instant lettering, which is, oh, I've got to drag on the correct part of the page, there we go. Letraset instant lettering here, which is fabulous. Some kind of display face. We have the computer book, and I don't know if I've got any have any Zoomer audience members. Would you hazard a guess what that is on the computer book? It's 1985. Looked like Discord really messed up Japanese display of Latin characters. Oh, okay. Interesting. Maybe there's more to it than I thought. There's a bit of a delay, so I'm waiting to see if anyone in the chat can identify what is on the front of the computer book. Or is that really obvious? It is a floppy disk, thank you. But it's not the one that's the icon for save. That is incorrect. It is not the save icon. This is the format of floppy before well, they were all called floppies, but the original ones were floppy. These are the 5.5, 5.25, 3.5, 5.25. I think this is the 5.25, the larger ones that held less information on them, and they that opening. So the ones on the save icon tend to have that little metal latch on the top, which you don't see here because that wasn't a thing yet. So really setting the time period, and we have, what else do we have in this layout? We've got World of Movies, Casablanca, La Dolce Vita. That's amazing. And this one here as well. We've got some dining, but I think my favorite one on this whole spread is the setting the text for the TV graphics in Letraset. I'm not even sure how you would do that. That'd be fascinating to hear about how TV graphics worked in those days, because I kind of did a bit of a, if you've seen any of the streams before, we've been going into clip art. Yeah, 5.25. We've been going into clip art from the past in some other streams, and I've written the first draft of that script. It is going to happen, but not this month because of the Letraset related video that is coming out first. But it was interesting to dive into it because it used to be that, now we think of TV as being, just a digital video file. And it used to be that digital graphics on computers and graphics on broadcast were completely different technologies. And so there was like really advanced, you think about those kind of cheesy 80s like TV graphics for chirons, but like those kind of pseudo airbrushed graphics and like the pseudo chrome, all that kind of stuff was possible with broadcast graphic like workstations. And back when you move over to the computer, it's like 16 colors or even monochrome. It is strange. There's a clear divide, and I'm not sure when it converged. Maybe it wasn't until TV signals went digital, but that was like well into the 2000s. I don't know. That's another thing to kind of dig up another time. But we're going to go back to the wide view here, and you can kind of see some of the fonts that are in this in this catalog. Along this side, you might see that we have some colorways, some color options, and so these were obviously best sellers. Only best sellers would be available in multiple colors. Yes, I remember 5 1/4. Good. So Letraset was interesting because it's similar to kind of like the decals you could put on, like, if you've ever had like a model airplane or like Gundam like figure, if you're that kind of nerd, not revealing myself in any way, but if you put like the transfer decals onto a model, toy model, it's a very similar kind of technology to that. And so it didn't have to be black. You could actually do it in white, so you could get white Letraset to put onto a dark background, and you could also get color. But obviously they only sold the color versions of the really popular fonts. So Futura here, Helvetica, and the one that I don't recognize is what is it? Let me switch to the punch in. Is it? Yeah, here we go. Legrif. That's gone out of the popular zeitgeist. Micro Gamma is still quite popular. I think Eurosteel is the more kind of extended version of this, or not extended, but full family. Micro Gamma was only extended, meaning it only came in this kind of wide aspect ratio when it was called Micro Gamma. And I think they've since built out Eurosteel, which is more of a square aspect ratio and narrow in the full thing. But this was used a lot in 2001, A Space Odyssey, for all of the labels inside the spaceship, which was fun. Old English, very generic. So I'm not sure exactly which Old English style this is from. Palette script is still available in digital form, and obviously Times. Interesting that Times is, Helvetica, the sans serifs come in all the rainbow colors, but Times and Palette script, they're a bit more high class. They come in silver and gold. Interesting. But I'm thinking I won't go through all of these because actually the full catalog gives you more of the full. So we'll get a bit further in and see the modern time. But here is again, they kind of have a separate section with just which ones were available in white in reverse. So that's only a small section of the, well, there's Eurosteel, I guess. I guess Micro Gamma was also only all caps, whereas I think Eurosteel is upper and lowercase. That might be correct. But yeah, there's obviously a subset that were available in white, and that was a bit more, but interesting to see which ones are available. Praetorian, you don't see that much anymore. And so there's quite a few interesting display types. Freestyle script, that is a really kitschy one. I'm kind of surprised that it was available because it was that popular. Okay, so let's keep going into the actual catalog, and what we have here, we've got the first page, which is Arkan. I'm wondering about how well this spine is going to hold up. It is about as old as I am, and my spine's not doing so great. Backwards Helvetica. Oh, there was backwards Helvetica. Did I just completely skip that? Helvetica backwards. Yes, there we go, backwards Helvetica, which is very interesting. I wonder what that was used for. I know that we have like with certain vehicles, like ambulances and stuff, they'll write the word ambulance in reverse on the front of the ambulance so that when you look in your rearview mirror, it reads the right way around. But I am curious how oftentimes backwards Helvetica was used, because it's only available in certain sizes. So maybe that will give us a clue. Maybe that will give us a clue. Let me just check if the autofocus is working all right. It could be a bit sharper, but it's doing all right. Is somebody else, yeah, jumped in to say that. But I mean, model ambulances, I don't know what size it would have been. How would you have blown it up to big enough size? Because it wasn't vinyl lettering. This wasn't that big. For the back of transparent things. Possibly, it could have been on the back of transparent things. It may have been in, but then yeah, wouldn't you apply it on one side? I guess it depends on the application. But we've got some interesting ones here. Gil KO. Now we call that Gil Ultra Bold in digital form, but interesting that it was called Gil KO. And the thing about also these catalogs is that names weren't standardized per se, so we may have some. There's definitely going to be some that have got a different name than what we're used to. Let's jump forward into the main catalog and check out some of these. Oh, that is interesting. I mean, Archon is still around quite a bit. You don't see it that often. It always makes me think of like collegiate lettering. It's not quite collegiate lettering, but I think something about it is very American college to me. But we've got a very Agincourt. It's nice that they've got the swash alternatives, 2 different S's there. This is it's quite an interesting one. This one, which metal band uses this in their logo? Aircraft. It almost looks like a. Who's? I'm showing my ignorance, or forgetfulness, or both. Is it Charles Rennie Mackintosh, the Scottish, Glaswegian architect and designer? Someone Rennie Mackintosh. He had this kind of double crossbar A. It's very telling of his style, but this like double stroke, it is quite interesting. But on this side, you see actually these are the sizes that they provide them in, and this is actually at scale. So the Archon obviously available in much larger sizes, 84 point versus some of the other ones. But Albertus is still very popular. Well, here there's something. Oh, okay. So there we go. This is another point that comes up in the video that will be released in a little bit. My camera, I should have set to 4K instead of 1080p because it's not going to pick up on this very well. But what you can't see quite here, maybe I can push it up to my overhead camera. Yes, I can hold it up a little bit. We can see in this little corner here is a label that says Letragraphica. And what Letragraphica was the kind of startup incubator of different display fonts for Letraset. And so Letragraphica was kind of a subscription service for ad agencies, creative agencies, and publishers who wanted to pay a monthly fee and get new fonts every month. And any that you didn't use, you would send back. And so it was a really great way for Letraset to beta test the demand for new font designs. And so eventually, if they moved into the main catalog, yeah, you can see there's a few that did that move. E1A, why is E1A the standard? I don't know. That's a good question. I guess so that you can have, I mean, you want to have an upper and a lowercase and a numeral, I suppose. to get scale. But there's also later on a bit more examples of the actual use these fonts in copy size, so you can get full context. So that's kind of cool. On this page, I mean, we won't dwell on every page, but there are some. We'll try and find just the interesting ones. Ambassador Light. I haven't seen a lot of that. That might be Unseal. You got your standard Irish pub font here. I mean, no, it's a very long history to Unseal calligraphy, but the place that you do see it outside of Ireland these days mostly is for Irish pubs, or Insular script. But American Unseal, yeah, I don't know who designed American Unseal. Oh, good. I'm glad that people are answering each other in the chat, because there's no way that I can answer everyone. And I'm a video on the history on movie poster fonts, cliches and trends. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just going back and seeing some. Well, Trajan would be the #1 movie poster font, and there's already a designer called Yves Peters, I think. It's in my script that's coming up, who did a real deep dive on the history of Trajan as the movie poster font. If you are interested in that, I'd recommend just searching Trajan movie poster Yves, and hopefully he's. Actually, I should double check how to pronounce that name before I record the video, because Yves, is that pronounced Yves, or is it like Eves or something? I'm terrible about names that I don't know how to pronounce. American Typewriter is a classic, so that's nice to see, and it's got a lot of different variations. Americana, that's a classic too. Antique Olive, one of our classic ones. Victor Hammer, okay, nice to see. Weird to see Algerian in this, because I mainly associate with ugly Microsoft Word documents. Yeah, and you'll see quite a few in this catalog would have made it into the Eves. Okay, good. Thanks for clarifying, Jill, before I humiliate myself on record. But I will also double check. You get in trouble by assuming you know how to pronounce people's names. So, yeah, you'll find a number of the fonts that are in this catalog made it into the default Microsoft system fonts, either with Windows or with Office. Eve, the ES is silent. Okay. It might be one of those things as well of like, do you anglicize it, or do you try and pronounce it the authentic way? So, yeah, I know that quite a few of these have migrated into either default fonts for Adobe or system fonts for Windows, or the actual font is American. Well, typewriter isn't. Yeah, I mean, the IBM Selectric used fonts, but a lot of typewriters just didn't. Just had a. They just typed, and that was what you got. So I'm sure it's based on. I'm not sure which model it's based on, but I don't think it's hard to replicate the same effect as a typewritten letter, because they're always slightly it's a mechanical process. But typewriters would be a lovely subject to get into one day, I think. American Typewriter is a monospaced. True. All typewriter fonts would be monospaced. So if you check the I, let's do that. Let's jump in there. If this was a monospace font, then the M and the I would have to be the same width, which they are not. Oh, here we go, yeah. So that is true. Good spot. Let's go back. Where were we up to? Now we're going to get into some of the funner ones. I think that artistic with a K. That's like very Art Nouveau, isn't it? That's was that used? Something very akin to that was used on one of these. Was it Oh, I'm gonna screw it against. I should not try and pronounce any French names on this stream. Wasn't Letraset's poster about the black cat? Wasn't that in this font, or is that my imagination? That's interesting. And this like dot matrix display style one is quite interesting as well. But we got Arnold Bocklin, another kind of very classic Art Nouveau font. Just kind of that's one which I have not seen before, or a script, and that's Letrographica. So a lot of the actual Letrographica ones, because they were more eccentric, less mainstream, not all of them made it into digital form. So that's an interesting one. It's not very legible, but it is interesting. JKL, is that an alternate L? That is such a weird character. What a very odd character that is. Let's see, JKL, LM. There's a few alternates in these. So 2 Ys and Zs, but that would be mad to see how that would look when it's actually set into lettering. LED font monospaced. Well, they wouldn't be LEDs per se. This would be before LEDs, but some kind of dot display certainly could be. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's monospaced. I mean, that's just, I think it's kind of a grid. They designed it on a grid of some kind. But there's got all the kind of really cool ligatures for avant-garde, which Herb Lublin's avant-garde. That was very, 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 very cool when you would actually see it in a poster headline with all of these alternates. But yeah, the Baby Teeth, always think of it as a Pac-Man font, but it's not quite. My father used to make the titles for his film work on 16mm. Ah, that's cool. It was LCD. Makes sense. Balloon. Now this is it's cropped out because I'm punched in. But Balloon is one of the classic Letraset fonts. It's like not the Comic Sans of its day per se, but it was very it was like a go-to for children's parties, anything kind of childish, maybe Halloween store. Balloon, it's in the name, but it's must have been based on some kind of signwriting style, but it's very iconic of the Letraset catalog to me. Anyway, we do have Baskerville Bluey. No, that's not how you say that. Bluey is the current favorite television show of my toddler. Belwy. I'm not doing so well in pronunciations on this stream, but you know, we're having fun, I hope. It was everywhere. That's right. That someone is backing me up about Balloon. Baskerville, some classic text faces. Is it Belwy? I'm not going to mention it in my video, so I don't have to figure out how to pronounce it. But also very popular. You can see by the number of variants that they offered. ITC Benguat, also very popular. Benguat Gothic is a really interesting one. Benguat Gothic to the medium. They only offer it in one weight. Benguat Gothic, because it kind of made a little bit of a comeback in the early 2000s, if I remember, or late 90s, because it kind of had a high-tech. It was kind of like Art Nouveau, but also a little bit, you know, it's sans serif. It's a very odd and unique type design. Yeah, it's got this kind of, was it The Sims maybe that used it for the interface for one of the versions, perhaps? Or am I misremembering that as well? Elizabeth, good. There are good things. Bluey is definitely one of the least annoying pieces of children's programming that I can recommend that. The really tight kerning and tracking on the whole alpha line is amazing, so typical of the time. Yeah, and also it was one of the advantages of the photo typesetting method was that unlike wood type or metal type, you could really jut letters up against each other very tightly or even overlap them, where you were not at all able to do that with the older methods. So people really went for it. I mean, which is typical because as soon as technology allows something new, don't get to letter F before 15 minutes. Okay, I'll try and hold off. I think at the pace I'm going, it probably will take a little while. But I think we're gonna, the stream started late, so I want to try and stream for another hour or so. Ben Gatt, according to an ICC brochure. Never looked that up. Ben Gatt. I don't know. I think also one of the reasons why I always thought it was Ben Gatt was I think one of the bootleg versions of Ben Gatt, or Ben Gatt, was called Penguin. I'm sure one of the bootleg names for it was Penguin. So it's always kind of been like Penguin, yeah. Excuse me. So that's interesting. Nobody's backing me up about my, hey King, we are looking at for anyone who's just tuned in, we're looking at the Letraset catalog from 1985. So this is how you would pick a font and order it before you set type on a computer. Or one of the ways, but probably the last new way you could do it before computers took over, before PostScript. So yeah, here we have some of the best and worst Burling. It's quite a nice kind of text face actually. You don't see that very often anymore. I'm not sure if there was a digital version or if it was renamed, but I like the italic. But Bernhard Antique, oof. That one's been that was definitely translated into embroidered. That seems like a great tool. Yeah, I mean you can pick these up. They're still around. 1985. Yes, this one is. Then this is a Swedish edition. The Letraset was based out of the UK, or started in the UK, and then they were bought by a Swedish stationery conglomerate called Esset or Eslet. I can't remember. What was it? Esselt? Again, another one of those names I never pronounced out loud, but I think it was Esselt that bought them up. So then it became Letraset Esselt. But they were worldwide concern, and they had an American edition of their catalog, and I'm sure other European countries as well. But yeah, this Blackmore is actually quite interesting. It's very feels very piratey, doesn't it? Esselt. Okay, yeah, that was right. But yeah, I remember Bernhard Antique was definitely one of the ones that was like a system default font from Microsoft or something at some point in the 90s, and it was much abused. Beaten, that's an interesting one. That's a very, and it's not a Letrographica one. Something about the proportions of these is quite weird, particularly because this is quite circular, which the strokes look very uneven. That U is definitely not symmetrical. It's quite a bizarre, it's quite a quirky little font. Beaten, I don't recall seeing it around a lot, but that is quite a strange one. As far as, very plain looking ones go. But again, we got some more calligraphic Bible script, a lot of different kind of swash alternates in that one, which is interesting. And nice. I wonder if were the flourishes were separate. So it says Bible script and flourishes. So you would get the flourishes separately. That's interesting. That's 36 point. That's 60. Okay, 60 sessions. Okay, so the flourishes would only work with some of the sizes, which is interesting. Downstrokes are more bold. You would get from a nib pen. Yeah, Blackmore has Monty Python and Holy Grail vibes. Yes, it does. Oh, this is one of my favorite ones here. One of my favorite Letrographica ones is Block Up. Look at this. It is crazy. I think I'm gonna have to lift it up a little bit higher if I can get it into frame. But it is this very strange 3D perspective font, which is it almost reminds me more of like graffiti lettering, which is, it is not a legibility case study, that is for sure. It's very, very strange. But it's so unique, and I think this is why this is really interesting to me, is that there was, by making lettering cheaper to produce, Letraset really, and dry transfer lettering really kind of opened up a whole new wave of display fonts, because they could, especially with Letrographica, with that kind of send it out first in a small batch. They would send it out only in a single size. So you would need another thing about this kind of technology was you would buy just the 28 point version in one sheet, and then if you wanted to have a bigger version, like a bigger type size, you'd have to buy a separate sheet of it. And so this one was only offered in 72 points. And that was how they kind of really limited the cost when they were testing a new design, was they would only offer one size version of it. Really, the production cost was really, really low. And then if it was popular, they could scale it up. And you couldn't really do that with metal type, because it was such an ordeal to even produce the metal and then ship it across the country and whatever else, just comparatively by cost. And so it did kind of have, there were like two explosions in display type, at least before digital fonts. There was this explosion in the 70s and 80s with dry transfer lettering, and there was an explosion around the advent of wood type, around the Victorian era, when you would have all the kind of display bills, and it was a kind of first era when we had mass advertising, print advertising on the side of buildings and stuff, and that was another time of exploding display type. So it's kind of, yeah, it's kind of cool that we have these reverse italic slope. That's sloping slightly the other angle than what you normally expect. But that's super 70s bottleneck. Bottleneck's very 70s. It's basically wearing flared jeans, bell-bottom jeans, that's right. Late 60s. Oh yeah, it could be even late 60s. But yeah, it does make you think of the Beatles. So we have Bookman Swash, of course. Again, like a classic 1970s paperback. Many 1970s paperbacks went with this option, which is cool. Again, talking about legibility with a display font, we've got this kind of wiry one. I'm gonna have to try and zoom in a bit closer on that one. I should really learn how to do shortcuts for streaming, but this is only it's only a third solo stream, so I mean eventually we'll have to actually get good at this streaming if I'm going to keep doing it and stop making excuses. But you know, I'm still finding my feet as someone who casually streams. But that is, and this overhead camera is quite difficult to navigate, but it is, it's cool. I mean, I like that a lot. There is something also nice about leafing through fonts rather than just like scrolling. It does make you actually think about them as more. Basarama as well, really kind of, I think that was actually started, this is feeling more 80s than 60s or something. But let's have a look. We are, yeah, this is not that interesting, but obviously Bramley was extremely popular at the time, but not much thereafter. And of course, Brush Script. Speaking of Microsoft default fonts, the animation bat guys here. Animation bat guy. I don't know what that. Oh yes. Oh Ben. Hey Ben. I was going animation bat guy. Yes. Nice to have you here. Lowest font reminds me of the CE logo. Well, Brush Script you can find on your Windows PC. I think. Can you still find it on your Windows PC? At some point, it was a default system font. Bookman Swash, exactly. Yeah, adult paperback section. Yes, romance novels. But this, again, Brush Script is a weird one because, I mean, it's based on brush lettering, but is it meant to join up? How tightly you kern it really makes a difference in how well it kind of achieves that effect. But yeah, literally, it is literally 1985. For people who just joined, this catalog is literally from 1985. And speaking of 80s, 70s, 80s, we got Broadway and Broadway Engraved, and I think we might have the other one based on this, which I talked about in my comedy club lettering one. Wow, there's no way we're going to get through all of this at this pace, so I'm just going to jump forward a little bit. I think it's in PI. No, maybe it didn't make it. It never made it. Oh no, there we go. Piccadilly. Piccadilly was also based on Broadway. But it was like, what if Broadway was made of neon lights, neon tubes? And that is the logo still to this day for the Improv Comedy Club. So yeah, there was like a late 70s kind of deco revival, which had a lot of these faces in it. Also, yeah, Buster. There's another nice. There's a few of these like drop shadow fonts and other things there. Nice. Is everybody having a chill? Are people enjoying this chill kind of browse through some really old fonts? I find it's good to just kind of wind down a little bit on a Wednesday evening. Here we go, Calypso. Yeah, this one has, and what's interesting about the Calypso one is it's also using this halftone, which, if we go right to the back of this catalog, you'll find somewhere. Oh, did I skip past some of it? Halftone. You can get all of these halftone patterns, but I think I might have skipped it. There we go. So something else that Letraset offered were these I'm gonna just get moire patterns because these lines are way too close. Oh, look at that. The camera does not handle that very well. Oh, did my camera pause? Did it break my camera? Or it broke my cam link? What is going on? Okay, something's gone wrong. I'm going to switch to just here for a second, and I'm going to unplug my camera from here because something happened there. Oh no. Oh no. That is not good. I think I need that graphic from The Simpsons where it said, excuse technical difficulties. I think I just spilled water and that has not helped. Oh, but the camera's back. The camera is back. So I need to put up some kind of hold music while I go mop up a glass of water that was spilled while I disconnected that. So I'm going to put up the chill beat. Okay, how's the level of the beats? We're keeping it chill, even though there was some minor spillage. Okay, where were we up to? We're not going to... We might not go as slowly as we have been, as meticulously as we have been. We weren't at Caslon, were we? Oh. We were at this amazing Calypso page, weren't we? The good thing about this mouse mat is it's basically a wetsuit material, so it's absorbed a fair amount. But I'm surprised there's many people still watching the stream. I'm glad that you enjoyed the Simpsons meme. Oh, across the Öresund. Okay, nice. This will try and keep the rest of the stream dry, especially when we come to this 37-year-old book of ephemera. But yeah, we have all of this cable, etc. Calypso was really kind of cool for being this halftone effect, which you don't see. It's a vintage look. It's an artifact of the print era that we don't see. But it'd be really interesting to see like a digital take on it. Is everything back to normal? Yes. I can move that off to the side. Motto Femina. Possibly we'll pick up the pace a little bit. Let's just talk about the ones which are notable. Oh my, sorry, I just spotted what is going on the top here. And this, I mean, the thing is, who am I kidding? Every page is going to have something interesting. But can you see this? What is going on with this alphabet here? We've got just the most compressed possible version next to itself of the A and then the B, etc., etc. That is weird, man. That is that will be really interesting to see how that looks when it's actually set into something. The other ones, I mean, Candace is very, 1970s exploitation movie title material. Not all that unexpected. We will go back to our wide shot. What have we got here? Oh my goodness, yes. Keep the stream dry. Well, yes. So hopefully there'll be none of this redistributing itself across the desk. For those of you who missed the drama. I should really keep that Simpsons Please Stand By meme to hand next time. Caslon, we don't need to get into that. Carousel, yeah, interesting ball terminals on that one. Carlton, Caslon Antique. Again, when it became, what is going on with that P and that Q? That's not in normal Caslon, is it? No, that's very strange. Are you seeing what I'm seeing, stream? Are you seeing what's going on with the top of this P and Q? Where it's not a feature of regular Caslon. unforgivable. Sorry, that detail caught my eye. It's actually this whole thing is really uneven. That ampersand is definitely not right. I mean, not all of them were produced at the same quality level as others, but generally the quality was pretty good. Romic, a pretty popular type family at the time. A lot of Romic. We've got, they should mind their P's and Q's. Touche. Hello Japan. Thank you for joining us. The bottom one is interesting. Oh, this one, Chesterfield. The M and N are certainly interesting. And the Q. It's an interesting way to add a tail to a Q, isn't it? But that W, what is that reminding me of? Something that it's reminding me of Belwy, or still not entirely 100% sure that I'm getting that pronunciation right, but I'm pretty sure. No, it wasn't Belwy that has that. Oh, yeah, it is. It is there. There is that strange W. The one on the bottom page earlier. What was that? Oh, I missed one. Oh, charter. Yeah, that is kind of interesting. It is a little bit interesting. It's quite wavy and organic. I could see actually this one would work very well. This one feels like it would be on trend with some kind of Zoomer, what do you call it, sparkling water brand. I could imagine this coming back for some kind of Zoomer lifestyle brand thing on a very black on a very garish shade of green. But I mean, I'm not here to roast the visual trends of today. I am getting old. I have a toddler, and I am no longer with it. But as Seymour Skinner once said, am I out of touch? No, it's the children who are wrong. Challenge, we have like a classic kind of marker font here, but interesting that this stencil one was made at such huge sizes. I wonder if that Helvetica, that mirrored Helvetica one was produced at sizes like this, but even still, this isn't big enough to put on an ambulance. Too fancy for Zoomers, you think? Are you a Zoomer? Do you speak from experience, Yu? I feel like I could definitely see that, the odd proportions of that. There's like a whole movement of like eccentric script face revivals and display font revivals going on at the moment in digital type, which is really interesting to see. But it's definitely, it's new, and anything new makes me afraid because I've gotten to that stage. No, that's not necessarily true, but wow, that's some interesting premium 1970s, 1980s display type right there with chromium. That's amazing. Yeah, I'm sure that this would have been very on trend at some point. And you just don't get that. I mean, that would have, the thing about these that's really impressive, that doesn't really come across in just looking at this catalog, is that these were all cut by hand, right? These were all cut with scalpels out of like a red photographic film called Rubylith, and they were produced at about 4 to 6 inches high, like 150 mils, 6 inches, for the standard kind of display fonts, but apparently the more complicated ones could get even larger, and they would do them one letter at a time, and it would take 4 to 6 weeks to do one alphabet, to cut it by hand. And so that makes these really kind of intricate display ones even more impressive, I think. And I've been in touch with the St. Bride's library, which has all of the masters, well, not all of them, but all the ones that they kept anyway, of these Letraset fonts, to get some photographs of some original masters, and it's quite impressive. There's a really good book. It's a bit pricey about the whole Letraset thing, from Unit, I think. And they have a lot of great like primary sources of people who were there at the time. It's quite a fascinating time in type history. But yeah, I think that one's kind of very of its time, much more than like something like this, the Cathedral one, which is more kind of, there's a lot of the kind of ones that were basically effects. And again, also the ones that were, these are both Letrographica, which means that they were possibly submitted by people who weren't established type designers themselves. So that makes it even more interesting. One below Chromium. Yeah, this is this kind of very geometric one. Circulus. I mean, a lot of different takes on this idea have been done over time of just breaking down letter forms into pure geometry. I mean, Herbert Bayer at the Bauhaus with the Universal was the first one to do that. But this is an interesting take on it, definitely. The hairline and with the offset from the stems being offset. Here we go, City, which is again, this is definitely feeling like, oh, sorry, it's not in shot. Actually, I'm gonna move the crop. The thing that makes this a little bit awkward is that the camera is upside down, so I have to, the image is flipped 180, so I have to kind of move things in the opposite direction. But now, yeah, City feels very much like athletic wear, you know, numbers on the backs of jerseys and stuff like that. Bauhausian styles always remain among my favorites, yes. And Clearface, I'm surprised Clearface hasn't made a comeback. They were kind of having a serif font revival at the moment. I'm surprised that Clearface hasn't made more of a comeback. Maybe it has. Maybe I've just missed where it's been popping up. Jeez. Okay, so Clarendon. I'm gonna zoom out just to get all this in. Clarendon was offered in huge variety of sizes, from 10 point to 192. That's 10 point type, because it is a true size. That's 192. I mean, Clarendon's been around since the wood type from the 1800s till now. It's still relevant, so, you know, goes to show. What was underneath there? Well, some, yeah, interesting, quirky kind of scripts, and a compactor. Apparently the compactor was one of their big, one of their original hits, because I think this is, yeah, I mean, it says there, Letraset 1963, so we haven't talked about any of these labels so much, but this one says 1963 Letraset, so it was one of their original typefaces, and it was kind of, you know, an impact style font for advertising. But like, who do they? Oh, they licensed Clarendon from the Haas foundry, which you know, it was like when hipsters were still obsessed with Helvetica, then, you know, hipster designers were like, well, yeah, Helvetica, that's pretty mainstream. What about Haas new Unica? There's a deep cut. I don't know if there's any designers on the stream who is Haas new Unica. Alienating the stream audience very well there. But yeah, Compactor it's probably actually nicer than Impact in many ways. But there you go. Impact is the more well-known one because of Microsoft again. So they had, I think they must have made the most out of it, because yeah, this feels like This feels like this belongs on like an 8-track uh, or cassette. I don't know, why does this outline version make me feel like I'm watching like a 70s movie about a trucker, a long-haul trucker or something. There's something very about that. These ones, this is quite quirky, isn't it? These are, yeah, these very strange kind of contorted forms, like almost a McDonald's arch M. And of course, Cooper Black. You gotta have Cooper Black in a variety of sizes. Everyone needs a bit of Cooper Black. Cortez is quite interesting. This feels like some metal band must have used this as a logo at some point. They must have typeset their logo in that. We got Corinth, Corinthian, not all that notable. Though Countdown, look at this. This one is quite interesting. And again, we've got another Croissant. Croissant. These are both Letraset originals, Countdown and Croissant. These like 1965. These were, I think, based on the early OCR fonts. So, I mean, you have OCR A and B as long-time system fonts on computers, but before that, I believe at the bottom of checks and stuff, they've still got this more exaggerated font for certain numbers and stuff. That is an even older one. That was when computers were really old, obviously in the 60s, and they needed really exaggerated forms to be able to recognize characters from scans, which also the scans were not very high res. But I think this is not a true OCR font, but inspired by those early ones. And at some point I think I will have to do a video about OCR fonts and fonts designed for computers instead of people. Especially the early ones, because they were very, very weird. Speaking of classics, this is, this always makes me think I always originally think that this is Serpentine, but it's not. It's not, because Serpentine, which, let's see if they're saying Serpentine. S-U-S-T-S-E-S-E-R. I guess not. I guess they're not. They don't sell Serpentine. Could it be a Shelley? Yeah. I don't think this is Serpentine. Or is it? Is it the problem of streaming late? The Load Runner font. Yeah. Hang on. Let me open up in a different tab. So. No, that's right. This is not Serpentine. But it's very similar in terms of its feel. But the proportions are different. But yeah, it's got that very 70s, 80s sci-fi feel to it, doesn't it? Yeah. Because I don't think there's not... Oh, again, kind of a Data 70. Again, one of these kind of like faux OCR fonts. Quite interesting. The check font was made so it could be read by a magnetic reader. Huh. There you go. Even crazier. Yeah, those early fonts designed for computers, man, they were very strange. And quite cool in their own way. Another classic Davida, a little bit Art Nouveau, a little bit kind of one of these exotic fonts used for signifying otherness or foreignness in a lot of, so it was used for a lot of Middle Eastern and Middle Eastern restaurants, I think, mostly, or things about like Old Testament stuff. The other ones, I mean, Desmonda, another Art Nouveau one. Not too much interesting here. I should zoom out so you can catch my whole page. Oh, Dynamo Chrome, Jesus. I'd love to see you do a bit on machine readables, yeah, at some point. Definitely want to explore it. These like effect ones, they are quite something else, aren't they? I'm sure this must have been used in a few TV graphics for sure. But Din, oh, that's interesting. There's like a rounded version of Din, which is quite interesting. And Dom Casual, is Dom Casual the same one that Apple used to have in their notes? Is that some kind of marker script one? But yeah, I guess Dynamo was a Letraset original because they have so many different versions of it, and it's, yep, credited to them. Interesting. Edda, that's cool. I would also see, yeah, this. Art Nouveau is definitely having a moment again, right? I feel like this font here would be, it's very zoomery, yeah. I feel like this would be like for a brand of designer edibles or CBD-based skincare. I definitely feel like that would be appropriate for their branding. Whereas this is definitely boomer, right? This kind of, yeah, it feels like it's like on the back of like an old, you know, car with fins or something, this style. This kind of particular geometric script kind of thing. Feels very like Airstream trailer. Kind of, it's not the most exaggerated one, for sure. But what else have we got here? We got, this one's not too wacky, just a bit quirky, Edwardian. You know, we were going to try and like look at the standout ones. Enviro is quite interesting. The F is weird. Which F is weird? The F in this one? No. You must be talking about one that we've gone past a bit. In this one. But Enviro, these kind of faux architect's handwriting fonts. There's like a couple of them, but Enviro is definitely one of them. And a fairly early one, I think. Eurosteel, very, very popular with a number of ones in there. Eras, yeah, I never understood. Eras has always been in like the catalog of fonts, and I've never understood where you would use it. It doesn't even remind me of a particular kind of time period. It's just these open counters. They drive me a bit crazy. Somebody's got to be a fan, right? Somebody's got to be a fan of it, but not me. Falstaff, Fat Face, Fat Shadow. This is definitely called something else. It's definitely called something else somewhere else. Fet Gotish. There was someone mentioned about something we were going to get to, but these are not too particularly crazy. Stream is even more fun. We're imagining presenting Patrick Bateman's font options for his new biggest. Yeah. Bateman, can you imagine? Yeah, very nice. Let's see Paul Allen's card, and it's in 96 point Fat Shadow. Folio, some classic sans serif. Just a little bit. It's always a little bit charmless folio, to be honest. I think Fortune, Bold. These ones are not. The Fs are not getting the most. Are you back yet? Somebody was asking me to wait 15 minutes before I get to the F section, right? We're here. Have we? Have I lost you? Getting shivers ever since the glass over the catalogue. That's good. Gotta live, here for a good time, not for a long time, something like that. I'm putting it down far away. Yeah, good to see you back, mate. We've gone to Frankfurter, that's a classic. That's a classic display font, Letraset style one. What was the one you were looking for? It's been 30 minutes or more. Yeah, I've been waffling for that long. But I mean, we're just taking our time. We're not going to rush through. That's why it's a chill stream. Freestyle script, one of the least attractive scripts. But God, what is Franklin Gothic? Well, yeah, that would make sense. Franklin Gothic condensed, extra condensed. That makes sense. They would provide it in a lot of sizes. Fortune, Golden Nugget Casino signage. I'm not familiar with what you speak. Fortune. This one? Maybe? I don't know. We could get all, yeah. If you want, I think no. The problem even wasn't even the cup. It's the fact that I have. Normally, I would have a boom arm, but it would be covering up half the page. So I decided I was gonna last minute throw on this microphone, but I was out of battery, so it's kind of awkwardly plugged in, and that is what knocked over the glass. Is that the USB cable currently making my wireless microphone wired? Great storyline, it's really engaging. Okay, Frutigo, we've got that. Futura, we're getting into the kind of classic ones here. Fritz Quadrata, that was, I don't know, the open counters in Fritz Quadrata never really kind of bothered me as much because it's got its own quirks. Futura comes in many sizes, makes sense. Oh, Futura Demi Bold script. I'm sure. Oh, there's another one that's reversed. They have a reversed version of it. So it can't be for an ambulance. They only offer it in 20 points. So what was it used for? Why would you want a reversed version of Futura in 20 point size? I don't know. I know. But yeah, I think I covered Futura display in the Wes Anderson one for the Royal Tenenbaums because it was on one of the playbills, but not Futura script. Maybe it was used somewhere in a Wes Anderson film. Maybe. These, like you said, Galliot. This is quite an interesting cut of italic, actually. Garamond. Want to get to the. I'm enjoying more the crazier ones, I think, than Gill Sands. Rule number 1: never talk about Eric Gill. So skip over that. Glastonbury. We've got, yeah. But here's one. Here's one that's quite interesting. We've got Good Vibrations. Oh, that's causing some issues with the camera because it's too close to resolve. But you can kind of see that. It's almost like a lenticular. But yeah, this one, I don't know who you would, what you would want to use this one for. But it's definitely memorable. I mean, I guess you could probably achieve this effect with any font you want now, in Photoshop or Illustrator with the right kind of. But yeah, I think it would actually still take a bit of work to make it work. But these were all created and cut by hand, so it does make it a bit more interesting. Let's see what we have here. We've got, these are grotesques, hand-drawn. We've not got too much. Always disliked Harlow as well. Again, really boomer, another boomer font that looks like it's like belonging in like an old 50s fridge. Harrington. These are, again, also probably because they ended up as system default fonts. Harlow and Harrington. Hawthorne, though, this would be very on trend. Letraset Hawthorne. It looks a lot like Rosalinda, which is the one that's everywhere, that DJR's. Very nice font, very nice type family. But it does, that R definitely reminds me of it. So maybe it is a bit of a revival or one of the inspirations for it, but it's having a moment. Helvetica, so there's going to be a few pages of Helvetica. We've got, again, Haas Foundry, they've licensed it from 192 down to 6 point with Helvetica. So probably the biggest range. And okay, so Helvetica reversed is 120 point to 48 point. Interesting. Have we Harrington looks like it, but on a probiotic yogurt container. Yeah, it would, or yogurt container. It would fit right in with that, what they're called, soft serve trend, I think, as well. The chat have still not figured out, gotten any closer than I have to why they would offer the reversed version of Helvetica. Our best guess was that it would be on the front of an ambulance, but it's just the wrong size. Too much Helvetica. Hercules with a K. That would probably also be, this would also be a Zoomer font, I feel. I feel that we could have a Zoomer revival of this. Like this is like an alternate to Hobo. Right, I don't know if they sold Hobo as well. Nope, they didn't sell Hobo, so this is like, well, it's a genuine one. It was a licensed one. Why are the size examples E's, 1s, and A's? We talked about that earlier. I think it's because it's just an uppercase number and a lowercase, but I don't know why those particular letters. Guess, I don't know. I actually don't have a good answer for that. I think the other, the thing about this one, again, the method of production is, I'm gonna have to get to the zoom view, but the method of production really hides. This one is actually, looks really boring to us because it's just a distorted texture. But remember, these were all hand cut. So every like little imperfection in this lettering had to be cut by hand to create that texture, which makes this really unremarkable font, probably the most difficult to create on this whole page, which is, when, now with digital tools, it would be the easiest to make. Just take any font and apply texture to it. It does not matter. Oh, wow. Isometric. Oh, I see. Isometric, as in, it could also be really useful, I guess, before computers as well. If you had an isometric drawing or diagram and you wanted lettering to go on that diagram, you needed to get it ready-made in the right angles for that. That's interesting. That's a little interesting. Isonorm, that is much older than I thought. Isonorm is, I should probably check. Where am I going? How's the, okay, good. It's still on copyright free lo-fi. Okay, I'm going back to, I've got to check in my beats because I think Spotify is wandering from my original playlist and I want to make sure I don't end up playing copyright music on the stream. So I'm gonna play this one. Okay. Right. Okay. Oh, we've got some interesting ligatures there. Was that? Yeah. Julia script. Calligraphica. Coke. It's already kind of, we're about 90 minutes into this stream, right? We've only got about halfway through. I think we might have to cut it off at some point because it's a school night and we won't keep it. We'll probably slowly wind things up in the next 10 minutes. How about that? We'll maybe come to a stop halfway through the alphabet around M. Let's get through the L's. There's quite a few L's still left. We've got another Art Nouveau typeface. This could definitely be coming back. Yo, thanks for joining the stream. We're just perusing some 1985 typeface options from Letraset. Missed the exciting drama with a glass of water earlier on. We got some very decorative ornamentals down here. And the LCD, yeah, you won't see that. Weekly stream. I wish I could commit to streaming more often, but it's going to be sporadic. But it will still say, yeah, we will do a part 2 for sure. We'll do a part 2. We're not. Maybe we'll uncover the mystery of the EA1. But we'll definitely keep going at some point. But let's zoom in. So this segmented LCD font is also kind of something that you won't see. Like if you, maybe this will be coming back. You think that Zoomers will bring back this because they don't. Posey did a good video about LCD segmented displays, but. We're reaching a point where kids are not going to grow up seeing these kind of displays anymore. Do you think that will make it more interesting to them or feel dated? But maybe we're the ones who see it as dated, and they'll see it as quite interesting. But go to that. Look at that ornamental script at the bottom. That's again hand cut. That would have been a huge pain. Would have been a huge pain to do. Let's see. What do we have? Oh, page got caught. Lindsay is quite interesting. That's a very unusual shape to carry through from your N and M there, and the G. Quite interesting. Analog horror videos. Do I know? No. Use backwards letters in Toys R Us. Yeah, I don't think they would sell the entire alphabet just to put it in Toys R Us, but that is a good point. And we have your Austin Powers font down here. Loose New Roman. Do people still remember what Austin Powers was? I'm not sure. I'm always kind of, yeah. I'm never sure who's on this stream. If you're, leave, what do people say? Leave something in the chat if you are a Zoomer and you're watching and you have never seen an LCD display. Put an L in chat if you're a Zoomer who's never seen an LCD display. I'm just curious what the demographics are on this stream. Jeez, Magnificat is some extreme stuff. You keep missing it. I want you to know reverse lettering is for on glass. I'm okay. Okay, but on glass, like a drinking glass, or on like a window glass. Okay, we are for glass windows. Okay, but the sizing is too small. I think no, maybe. You do see it from the other side, yeah, but I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking about like British pubs. They have a lot of decorative lettering on windows, but they're much bigger, and they're normally kind of hand gold leafed and all this kind of stuff. So, but maybe in different markets it was different. But I just feel like the sizes were not right. I guess, well, Helvetica. Maybe it's for, yeah. I can imagine maybe something like a key cutting, get them engraved. Or just like in a shop window where it's like opening times or something, maybe they'll put them on in a smaller font, in reverse, perhaps. We who were not there will never know for sure, but Magnificat, that is quite cool, but very difficult. Could this be a Zoomer comeback, perhaps? I don't think so. Calligraphy doesn't seem to have made such a comeback in that form. And then we've gone to Microgamma. I think we're going to end it around the end of M, because as kind of mentioned at the start of the stream, this one very so Microgamma was not all uppercase, but it was used a lot in 2001: A Space Odyssey, and it's kind of one of it's a great book called Fonts from the Future, or Fonts of the Future, Future Fonts, all about sci-fi typography in movies like Alien and Star Wars. No, not Star Wars. They don't really have lettering a lot in Star Wars, but Star Trek and 2001: A Space Odyssey and this kind of Motta. Somebody was mentioning Motta. Who was mentioning Motta Femina? We had the Motta series, which were quite cool. Mistral, yeah, a worse version of brush script. But what else do we have up here? We have Patrician. It's interesting. This feels like Adam's Family, something like that. Apple Computer font. Oh yeah, the early, no, almost. Well, it definitely feels like one of those early Commodore. Oh yes, this one, Motta Textura. That was Apple. You're quite right. You're quite right, Cheese Paris. That was the Apple Computer font. We've reached the end of the last M's, Musica. So there we go. That has been our little sojourn through the world of Letraset. There's a bit of a lag when I'm doing switching scenes here, so pardon me. I'll go back to this one. Yeah. So that's been our little. Oh, and my camera froze again. Little technical hiccups, but it was fun. It was a chill stream. We had a small accident, but everything survived. Typeset in the Future by Dave Addy. Thank you, Rafitz. That is the one I would recommend to people. Yes. I don't want to use Futura in Gill Sans, not Helvetica. No, but I did use Microgamma. Rage Italic on its license plates. Yes, that's true. California Games probably also used some version of that, if you remember that. But yeah, it's the Chill and Spill stream. Thank you for joining. CJK Letraset. I don't think there was CJK Letraset. That would be kind of cool. Yeah, you guys have been very chill. I've enjoyed hanging out, and we'll do a part 2 for sure. Hopefully I will finally get my streaming setup organized where I won't have to be making my wireless things wired and spilling things, and yeah, just generally, hopefully there'll be less reason to put up that Simpsons meme next time. Appreciate all of you tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Have a brilliant week. Take care for now. Right. Bye. I say bye. I don't know how to end this stream. I do know how to end the stream. I'm gonna do it now. All right.